What's up, guys? Welcome to the channel. I'm not sure even which one of my YouTube channels I'm going to post this to. Probably the Rock in the Country one. It's a whole new experiment. I watch other reactors do things. I like watching some of the younger folks comment on, social affairs, political affairs, whatever. And I just like to see sort of like the new movements, if you want to call it that, among the intelligentsia, the younger ones. And I come across this channel maybe a month ago, just pearly things. And I'm watching, there's guys, girls. I don't even know if they're set in the UK. Most of the folks seem to have a British accent. I've been looking for new material, as I always do. This might be fun for me to react to, because I have a lot of thoughts on things and such, but by and large, I just try to be civil, kind, aware, and this thing. Anyway, I'm watching a couple of minutes of this video. There are 5 ladies. In the video that you see right here, it looks like there are 4, but there are 5 ladies, which you'll see, and commenting on guys. And it took them all over the place. And so I really enjoyed what I had seen. So I emailed Hannah, who's the proprietor of the fine establishment here. Her channel's been growing. She's a very bright young lady. Very nice demeanor. I really like that. She, makes her points without being obnoxious. And so I said, Hannah, I'm thinking of doing a reaction to your videos and I'll make my comments on it. And she's like, she got back to me right away. She's on the screw. She got back to me like almost immediately and was like, go for it type of thing. I'm like, sweet. So I'm in. I haven't seen this whole video. I've seen the first couple of minutes of it, but I'm going to have to position myself camera-wise sort of like right in the middle where the orange cables are. You'll see the mic cords. So I'm going to make some comments based on their comments and just see where it goes.
On the flip side, a common complaint I hear from guys is women say they want the emotional side from us. Like they say they want us to cry in front of them. They say they want it, but then we give it to them and they're not attracted to it and they don't like it. So women don't really know what they want. Do you think that's true?
I've seen that. I saw that in a video. It was this guy. I don't know what he was upset about or crying about, but the girl was like, she was on the phone with him and she was like, I want you to be more vulnerable with me, but not like this. And he's like pouring out his heart and like just confiding in her. And then I thought about like what you just asked us, like, where's there like a cutoff to where it's like, okay, I wanted you to be vulnerable, but not that vulnerable to where you look like a baby. But it's like, where does it like stop?
I was gonna say, I think it depends on the situation at all times. Because if I see you crying over somebody dying or like feeling like the weight on your shoulders is too much, like I want to be there for you to help you lift that weight off your shoulders and make you feel better. But if you see a rat in the corner of the room and you start crying, I'm gonna laugh.
Be like, no,
because even I'm not gonna do that.
I feel like I would cry as well.
No, I'll be crying, but I feel like, man, the hell up. And can you just handle it? Handle your business.
It's like just personal preference. Like, what are you attracted to? Like, I know I definitely have internalized like toxic masculinity. Like, I am very like, when a guy shows me like little signs of like being like a little feminine, that's a huge turn off.
I like it.
Really?
I
don't know why.
Show me your vulnerable
Show
side.
me guys with piercings. You wear crop tops. I like that shit.
Do you like that stuff?
Yes,
oh my gosh,
absolutely.
no. I see a man in a crop top.
That's the toxic
no.
masculinity in her.
It's not toxic masculinity. It is not toxic masculinity to have a preference for men that are men.
Can I just
say?
Okay, so
they're not any less a man just because they're dressed a certain way.
I think you're more masculine.
Am I a man just because I'm wearing pants?
Ooh. Are you? What is that?
Am I masculine because I wear pants?
Well, I didn't. Yeah. Ooh. Pants are more masculine. Basketball shorts are more like you look more masculine when you wear that stuff. Men tend to be more attractive.
But I feel like why is there a standard set for that? Like, why does it mean if you wear the baggy shorts, like basketball kit wise, why does it mean I'm more masculine? Do you know what I mean?
Because you look like it's like common sense.
That's not common sense.
To be like, you know what? I could wear a salmon shirt. I could wear blue jeans, and do you think because I'm wearing a salmon pink shirt that means I'm feminine?
Well, I mean, not just a pink shirt. It's like how you dress. Like, I think it's common sense that a girl in a ball gown looks more feminine and a girl in a basketball jersey looks more masculine.
I think it's security. I think it's what
I don't think it's security.
Yourself.
I think it's common sense.
No,
like I think
like
come on, you guys know what I'm saying is true.
One thing that
you're telling me Cinderella looks more masculine than a WNBA player.
We get you.
Come on.
But I genuinely...
Come on.
So basketball, are you associating that with a men's sport?
Yeah, it's more like girls look more masculine in our basketball jerseys.
Okay,
I wear them.
She's saying just
the look.
Like they're
All right, I'm going to comment on that too. Yes, girls absolutely do when they wear that. And here's the thing. It's not necessarily wrong. Some people want to look more masculine, and that's a tool by which they can do it. So to automatically view it pejoratively is incorrect in my opinion. I think if you're there, we get dressed up. I mean, guy, we'll put tuxes on and we'll do this. That sends a different message than if we're wearing basketball shorts too. So the idea that something is masculine or feminine isn't right or wrong. Sometimes it just is. And a girl can put on baggy, basketball shorts or whatever for a certain look that she purposely is trying to put out there. And so for me to say, well, that's more masculine, that's not wrong, especially if that's the look she's going for. I don't know, we just have this idea that automatically once you say that something is masculine or feminine, that it's wrong. It's not. Sometimes people are putting it out there so they appear more masculine or more feminine.
I understand what you're saying.
So if a guy comes to me in a crop top, he looks more feminine. I'm not attracted.
Ezekiel Elliott looks real good in that crop top.
Wait. There are exceptions to every rule.
So like, what type of crop top? If I was in a football kit, you'll be saying, "Oh, I look."
All right, let's say I like how Hannah walked herself off of that one. I don't know who the dude is that they were just talking about. A dude in a crop top, that doesn't work for me whatsoever. I'm just saying. And I don't think it's necessarily a generational thing in that regard. Whatever.
More masculine.
Yeah,
because typically,
that is.
But
I feel like the world we live in. See, this is where society's standards come in. I feel like personally, in my opinion, your opinion. Don't get to say it's wrong.
Yeah.
I just feel like personally, we're in a world that's more evolved. Where back in the day, yes, football and basketball are sports that's more associated with men. And women have worked their asses off, their bloody asses off. I'm trying not to swear, guys. To get to where they are, the level of where they are. For example, I even had an argument with a guy that said one of the girls on your team plays like a guy, and I argued with him, and I was like,
"Yo, why does she play like a guy?"
Because
why does she play like a guy?
Because men are better.
No.
Sorry.
Wait, hold on. Jess,
they are.
Jess, I'm talking. Hold on, because I'm gonna stand your point.
Like statistically, in every category,
genetically, scientifically, physically, biologically.
So by every measure that you can, every piece of data that you can measure, men win.
Men's muscles and their muscle mass, cool. It's on a different level.
Okay,
this girl,
I'm
of evolution.
This girl worked her ass off to get to the standard of basketball that she plays. She's a pro player.
Yeah.
And the guy said she plays like a guy. That's so degrading. She worked her ass off to get to where she is.
Plays
you think that's degrading?
But she plays like a woman.
It's that simple.
She plays like who she is. It's not even about women and men.
But why is it degrading? If men are better, like they're better.
Because why would you compare me to a man?
Now you're
when
saying
you
men are more supreme. That's a whole different level.
Men are okay. This is.
All right, I'm going to make a comment here too. I agree with Hannah, and I want to make a comment here about Hannah. I remember years ago when I first started watching different videos on YouTube, and there was her name is Jenna Marbles, was recommended in my YouTube feed, and I'm like, there's this girl holding a dog. I'm like, let me see what this is. I don't know who this girl is from anybody, right? Jenna Marbles. And it turns out, well, she starts off by saying something extremely racy. And I'm like, oh my God, her father could be watching this. This is my first thought. And then I'm watching it, and it was actually pretty funny. But I'm like, is this just like a ditzy chick, ditzy chick, ditzy girl, ditzy person making videos? And there was something compelling about her enough to watch. By about the 4th or 5th video I watched of Jenna Marbles, I'm talking about, I realized she was really smart. I could see how she was formulating her thoughts, bringing things together. And it wasn't that I agreed or disagreed. Was a philosophy major and a social work major at Rutgers, my alma mater. And so, you know, I like seeing the formulation of thought. I don't have to agree with it, but if somebody's intelligent, I love that, right? And I realized this girl is freaking smart, like way beyond what somebody might think just from watching a YouTube video. And so I Googled her, and sure enough, I found somewhere that she's got her master's degree in social work, I think is what it was, or sociology. And I'm like, that explains it. This girl knows how to put pieces together of things. And that was in the couple of the videos I've watched of Hannah's. Hannah's the redhead. To me, she's on my right. I think the way I edited it winds up on your right. Oh, she winds up on your right as well. It's her channel. And I realized she's really smart in the way she formulates her thoughts. And I love that. I'm going to comment, too, about the girls being offended by being compared to a guy in basketball or whatever the sport. She said football. I don't know if that's American football or if that's soccer, European soccer, football. But being offended by saying, well, you play like a guy. Guys are the best in basketball. I mean, there are girls who are good to very good, but on the higher levels, they don't compare to the men. And there are physiological reasons for that. And so it's neither right nor wrong. It just is. Years ago, when I was into fundamentalist Christianity, for a couple years after college, I was in serious Bible study stuff. I was the right one. Other people were the wrong ones. And some years ago, I was going for a walk in my neighborhood, and there was a woman, her name is Judy, in my neighborhood. Judy was Jewish. She was married to a guy, Lou, who wasn't Jewish. And we got to talking. And after about 5 minutes, she just says to me, "You'd make a good Jew." And as a fundamentalist Christian, I could have been really offended by that because I wasn't Jewish. But from her perspective, she was complimenting me, and I took it as a compliment. I could have been offended, but I wasn't. A year or two later, going into Dunkin' Donuts, which is a coffee shop chain here. I live in New Jersey, and there are Dunkin' Donuts all over. And there's one near my home that I would go into every morning to get my morning cup of coffee on my way to work. And everybody in there were younger and Muslim. And I'm a social butterfly, so I talk with everybody. So I wound up talking with this one guy, and he's going back to either Afghanistan or Pakistan or somewhere like that for med school. Along the way, for about the prior year, he had commented on this particular jacket that I wore. It's an orange, sort of like windbreaker jacket. Maybe cost me like $100 or something like that. And I'm a jacket hua, as my girls say, and I have a lot of jackets. I found out he was leaving like the following week. So I went in the day before he was leaving, and we were talking. And this is post 9/11, mind you. You know, not a whole lot of camaraderie. You know, people were on guard about 9/11 and Twin Towers in the Middle East and all this. Whatever. On the final day we're talking, he sees my jacket. I take it off and I give it to him. And he was blown away at this. I knew I'd probably never see him again, and I have in the intervening 25 years. One of the guys he worked with, though, after he left, we started to talk. He was younger, about 20 years younger than me. And he starts talking about Islam and my views on Christianity and Judgment Day and all this. And at the end of our conversation, he looks at me and he says, "You'd make a good Muslim." Now, that could have been highly offensive, especially at the time, and especially to a committed Christian. That was an epic compliment coming from him. And that's the way I took it. And that's here the difference between, like, you can look to be offended or you can look at the heart behind what somebody is saying. Men, in this regard, are the better athletes when it comes to women are different. Their sport is different. Lacrosse is different between men and women. It's different. But the guys definitely are stronger. So to be told, like, if Brittany Griner or somebody in the women's NBA could make it to the NBA they would. Like, they would be happy to make that leap. It's a more popular, more watched sport. So this is just my take about in a sense, the offense culture, where you look to be offended because somebody says something that actually to them is a compliment.
Own child. Respectfully. Like, why does it matter? Like, why is your first instinct to get angry when men are like, if we compare men to women, like, they don't get angry. Like, why is your first
because they don't want to be comfortable with the idea of femininity being pinned on them. And we
like, but I'm saying like basketball, right? Cool. Men statistically in every single I'm sorry, it's not a fun reality. But statistically, like in every single category are better than women. Like, there's like really good high school teams that beat WNBA teams all the time.
What?
Like,
I didn't get that.
But that's when
we want credit.
Yeah.
That's it.
So
we want
we
credit
get credit
without the comparison of being seen as a man.
So what if I said you play? What if I say you play like LeBron James? Would you be offended?
No, because I
So I wouldn't be offended, but I'd be
true.
like, so my gifts and my talents are overlooked to be compared to an NBA player. Yes, great NBA player, but I'd be like, can I not play like Jessica? Can I not play like me? Like, I understand what you're saying, but just the fact that women can't be like, oh, she's a great player. She plays like herself. Like, I wonder how long she took to train, blah, 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 to get there. But to be compared to a man, it's like, okay, why can't I be compared to Lisa Leslie?
I just don't understand why it's a bad thing. If they're
I like the girl in the light blue, the one who's developing her thoughts here. The few times that I've seen her in the videos, I really like the way she develops her thoughts. Like, I vibe with that. It's neither right nor wrong. I just like how she seems to be very, I don't want to say intellectual, but maybe that's not far off the beaten track. Like, she's contemplative, tries to identify the right thoughts. Yeah.
good. Like,
we just
I don't
want
think
credit
it's
as women. Like, me personally, I can say I got complimented in the comparison of a woman, right? And that was the best feeling in the world, because I was playing beach volleyball one day, and this guy on the court was like, yo, you're Black Serena Williams, but in volleyball.
Yeah.
I was like, that
but you
amazing.
weren't offended by that.
Because she's a woman and she paved a way for female athletes.
But I'm saying, like,
a man did not pave a way for us. We did. Okay, women were doing it for us.
Yes, they do.
Serena Williams.
We take losses in college basketball. Women's take losses every year in profits.
No, that's
who's
facts.
making the profits. The
But
men.
I think with men,
That's
they
paving the way.
They don't get discredited when
I don't.
They
mean
lose
paving
money
the way.
every
I don't mean
single
paving
year.
the way when it comes to money. I mean, just being strong enough to want to play a sport that is male dominated. For example,
No, men were involved.
Like, come on, tennis, basketball, all of those things. It always started out with men. At some point, they were like, all right, let's let women play. Even baseball, they decided not to let women play baseball and called it softball.
Yeah.
Oh
Like,
my God,
because
for
they decided it had to
real?
be different. Like, the only time I feel like it's okay to make extreme comparisons and differences in the sport is track. That makes sense. Women are naturally built different. We fully accept that. So we have to make those exceptions for us in track. But in other sports, give women a little bit more credit. You know,
All right. That point needs to be completely rethought, because the assumption there that she's making about softball versus baseball, and that men said, go ahead and do this, but it's different. I don't know the origin of softball. I'm going to guess that she doesn't either, because, I mean, I don't think a lot of folks do. But the assumption that men were in charge and said, all right, you go off in the corner and play with this big ball and there are different rules. How do we know that the women didn't say, we want something different than what the boys are doing? We don't want to do what they're doing. We want our own sport. It'll be kind of similar because we like the generic structure of baseball, but we want to do it our own way. So I'm not buying this. I mean, it might be the case where, like, the men, you know, all these dads said, girls, you're going to go play this other sport. But this is one of the things where we have to be careful where our assumptions come into play about things that, like, oh, these people just said you do it that way and do it. I think you're discrediting women in this regard, because they might have said, we want our own thing and this is what it's going to look like. Just food for thought.
You look at, there's a lot of women, there's a lot of female, like, if we're going to talk about basketball or anything, I can't really comment on volleyball, I don't really pay attention to it like that. But like even in basketball, even football, there's a lot of female players that actually play better than a lot of men players. But you never say. You'll never catch like other guy crediting them like that. Like, but with a guy,
wait, are you talking about soccer?
Yeah.
Are you talking about soccer?
Even, like,
but
guy,
if the women, it's all driven by the market though. Like it's driven by the fans that want to watch. So if women were better than men, like more fans would watch. They would make more money.
We came into the sport later.
I think like better is like not the right term. Like I think that. Like historically, like male sports have dominated, and that's kind of the tone that's set. Like,
oh, we had like a 40-year,
exactly. And like also, women, we don't play like men. We play differently. We're not as physical, and that's genetic.
Yeah, we are
like women's volleyball is completely different than men's volleyball. It's like women's volleyball is a lot less like men's volleyball. They'll have like 2 rallies, and then it's over because everyone hits so hard that you can only do so much with it. Women's volleyball is a lot different, and that like. There's a lack of interest. Like women's basketball, you're not going to see girls dunking every single ball,
right?
And it's like that's not the showboaty. Like you know what I'm saying? So
I'm like I agree. I agree. Yeah,
people don't appreciate the.
I think it's about the
tactics.
I think
they don't approach.
I think it's because like obviously. Men are going to be better because testosterone is a thing. And they just have more.
It's also what makes them more emotional. Fun fact.
Yeah, I saw that on Instagram. And so, but I think it's just the point of like, we already know men are going to be physically more better than us. But
all right, but here's a problem where the men are being stereotyped as well. And I don't have a problem with that because there are certain stereotypes that actually fit. But that just men are dunking every play. Men aren't dunking every play. All right. Men would like to. I think the women would like to as well if they could. There are a couple of women who can dunk under the right circumstances. I'm a 6'1" white guy, and I used to be able to dunk. Most white guys can't dunk. It's that when the movie White Men Can't Jump came out, some of the people in the media were like, oh, this is a horrible title, horrible message. And it's like, I played ball, and I knew most white men couldn't jump. I could. I wasn't offended by it. I had the element of surprise when I played for the first play of any basketball game. Then they realized I could play. But she just stereotyped men as just, oh, this is just the way they play, just going and dunking. No, there's a lot of strategy involved. There's a lot of mental activity that takes place. You've got to know the positioning of players, but men are more physical. We're just bigger and stronger. And here's another point. About the first mover advantage. I think she said, well, men had the, 40-year head start or something. All right, I'll put it in the racial category. The NBA, pro baseball, there was the color barrier, as they called it. Only white guys were playing. Then that was removed, Jackie Robinson and baseball and so forth. And now, if you look at the racial complexity of the sports, aside from hockey, they're predominantly black, and yet people still go to watch. And so the notion that because women started later and therefore were at this extreme disadvantage isn't so, because if you're better, if you're good, people will be naturally attracted to that sport or that activity or that art form, whatever it may be, regardless of gender, regardless of racial makeup. If it's fun to watch, they're going to watch it. It's that simple.
So I think
I'd rather be compared to a guy in basketball because they're better.
But there's
a man. Like if they said you play like LeBron James, I'd be like, dope. That's the best basketball player in the world.
Like female, that's up there. Top.
No, I would pick LeBron. He's better.
Also all person, like that's all.
Yeah.
To that.
Wait. Is that true that testosterone makes us more emotional? I don't have a problem with it. I mean, we all have our composite makeup. Women are more estrogenic. Men are more testosteronic, or whatever the word is.
Like that's completely your opinion. There's you know what I'm saying?
Well, it's fine. It doesn't matter.
I know that when I was a teenager and I first started in volleyball, like I was constantly compared to guys. Like initially because I had a very masculine and aggressive way of playing as opposed to just straight tactic. So it makes sense. But I did take it as a compliment. Like,
Yeah.
I never had an issue with it because I was just like, gang shit. Like,
Yeah, okay, babe. I'm the best out here. Yeah.
I got it like that.
Yep.
Look at these muscles.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
was really like this thick thin.
Yeah.
But when it came to a point where I realized, like, men don't have to be the pinnacle of power. Like, that's what it is. Like, I'm a little tired of that narrative. Like, I don't
think it's the narrative. I see women in media all the time. Like I see
feel
women
like-
in in online.
I feel like it's changing
I
now.
see women.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So I don't see men as being like the pinnacle of like 80% of consumer buying decisions are by women. So we're
There
always
you go.
like, we are constantly
Yeah.
being marketed for women.
I feel like
I'm just tired of like, okay, like when you look at like commercials and the way that sports are showed with like men, for
Yeah.
example, it's always like them with Gatorade and they're like,
yeah.
feel the burn, like.
Not recently.
But with women,
You've
it's
seen
like you see a Tampax commercial and it's like, damn, bro, like, are we more than our periods, please?
You can
like,
do your whole life on your period.
The only time that you see, again, like I mentioned before, Serena Williams.
Yeah, I think also, I don't know where they're going with this, but it depends on the sphere in which the comparisons are being made. And whatever women are better at, then I'm cool being compared to that, just because if that's the height of that, whether it's intellectual, you know, I'm partial to that. Some of my favorite authors, Anne Lamott is arguably my favorite author. And my writing, I've learned more from her writing, reading it, and her books about writing than any other author, right? And I love Micah Lewis, Ben Mesrick, William F. Buckley back in the day. I mean, there are just some writers, but if you compare me to a female writer of that order, I'd be like, amen, I'm all about it. So the gender offensiveness, I mean, I think that's a relatively new thing. Like in the last probably 20 years, and certainly has accelerated more recently with the divisiveness in politics and so forth. But what Hannah is saying, I completely agree with, where if you're being compared to the best in something, in some arena, that's actually pretty cool, right?
Wait, I
What
can't.
happened?
Simone.
I was just saying that like they're like Serena Williams, like she is so overly sexualized because she has like a big ass and she's like a curvy girl and she's attractive. Like that bothers me too because it's like it doesn't focus on her skill. She's insane.
Oh, she is insane.
And Venus.
Yeah,
Venus gets
Absolutely.
so discredited
Seeing
so
her
much.
be like sexualized in a tennis match, it's like, okay, I'm gonna start sexualizing men. Your balls look real good jiggling.
Yeah,
I'm a hoe.
Touching on that, there was a coach. I can't remember where she was from, but it was breast cancer awareness, and she had on pink leather pants and a white top. Nothing.
looked good.
She looked great, but someone.
Yeah, but you're not going to have a guy with Tampax. Well, you might nowadays. I don't know. But honestly, if you're going to market something, if you're going to put your money on the line as a company, you're going to give yourself the best chance of succeeding. And so you're going to play the numbers game. It's just that simple. Black, white, male, female. If you're an entrepreneur and you're starting out and you have a limited amount of money to invest in a given thing, you're going to put it where you think the best chance of success comes along. That's not prejudice. That's just smart. That's not gender. That's not sexist. That's just smart.
Someone said, "Is this inappropriate for a coach?" I'm like, "Why is that? What if
I
a
know what picture you're
dude? What
talking
if a
about. I
dude
saw
wore
that
tight
picture.
pants and you could see stuff? And like, is
It's
that
just-
inappropriate?"
I hate to bring in race,
Yeah.
but it's also a racial thing. Oftentimes,
Yeah.
like,
Motivated.
they have
Gymnastics.
always sexualized black women, and at the same time masculinize us. It makes
Yeah.
no sense.
But then
like,
discriminates against it. It's like, what
Exactly.
do you want? Because you know you really want all of that.
Yeah,
so
it's
let's
like-
chill
Yeah.
now.
if you're gonna constantly sexualize us, like, get it together, dog.
Yeah.
Like, we are not just.
I don't
What do you
know.
want?
I don't know. I
Just
didn't
ask
hear
some
about
big
that.
boobs.
Okay, wait. So the next appreciate.
Oh, it's over. Holy cow. All right. I'll leave it at that. I don't know what the next part of this thing is, but I just wanted to do that as sort of like a trial run to see how that went, to see even how I felt about doing reactions to this, because I've actually thought about doing another channel to react to theological stuff. I don't know about political because it's just really annoying, and I've been around long enough to know that nobody's got a lock on what's right or wrong, so to speak, or how things work. It has to be open dialogue. One of the things I respect enormously about all these ladies is how they sit there and talk, and they don't all agree with one another. I think Hannah's a very gracious host, but she doesn't back down from her opinion. but everybody has a chance to speak, and that is exactly the way it ought to be in discourse among people. It shouldn't be somebody speaking imperiously that I'm right, you're wrong. I can't stand, there are people with whom I agree politically, theologically, and I cannot stand talking with them about anything because their view is so narrow. And I like hearing other perspectives. I seriously do, because I've changed my mind in my life. But I don't insist that I'm right. I just know my view is my view. And if I can shed some light on something or share a different perspective, I'm all about that. But I like seeing them. And I've seen other videos with the fellas in there, and they talk about men and women relationships, and they go at it with one another. But guess what? They're at the table with each other talking about it. And I'm guessing at the end of the day, they probably go out drinking or to dinner or something. And I don't know who pays. I don't know if guys are allowed to pay any longer. That's how I do it when I go out. If I go out, when I'm out with a lady, I pay. That's just that's old school. This is what I do. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. That's just me. But, you know, I love seeing how they can sit and talk without somebody getting up and storming off because they're pissed off at a different viewpoint. So this is encouraging. All right, guys, that's it. Hope you like that. Hannah and company. I don't know what all in this video the ladies' names are, but mad respect for you guys. That's just good stuff that you're putting it out there. I think some of the perspectives have been skewed by what's been put out there in the media about how things are working, but that's just kind of, I had them when I was that age too, and then as you get older, you contemplate broader perspectives, and you change your mind on some things, and some things you don't. But hopefully kindness rules the day at the end of it. So just because I disagree with somebody doesn't mean that I should be a jerk to them, you know? I mean, where's the rule that says if I disagree with somebody, I have a right or an obligation to be a nasty? I don't want that at all. So, all right, guys, that's it. Have a great day. I'll see you on another video.